Do you have grandkids? You should open a 529 plan for them. I'll explain why. That and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Grandparents, have you thought of funding a 529 plan for your grandkids? Some of you, it's on your radar screen. You understand the gift of providing for education, and you also know that it's getting wildly complicated, very expensive over the years, and so this is something, a legacy maybe that you've had on your mind, a financial goal of yours. However, what we've found as we're serving our financial planning clients is many grandparents, this makes a lot of sense, and we're bringing it up to them, and the light bulb's going off that, oh yeah, I should do this. And so having grandparents making contributions to a 529 plan, there's significant tax benefits and financial reasons to do so, in addition to just that joy of helping your kids help their kids with getting them educated. Now, the 529 plan, if you're not familiar, this is a federal law. It allows an account to be opened to help with college expenses, but they've also expanded the use, and it can be used in primary school as well. But essentially, the account is structured like this. There's no federal tax benefit on your contributions in to the 529 plan. While inside the 529 plan, you've got investment choices, not a ton of them, but maybe 15 or so, depending on the plan that you use. And all of that investment activity is tax sheltered, so the growth is tax deferred, dividends, capital gains, all of that is sheltered within the account. And then if you use the money for a qualified educational expense, which could be college, so tuition, room and board, books, those sorts of things, or a certain amount for tuition for primary school, K through 12, then the withdrawals are tax-free. Since the contribution you made was never tax deductible, you can pull that out, but the growth is pulled out tax-free if it's used for qualifying educational expenses. Now that's at the federal level. Each state has their own 529 plan, and many states, not all, but many states offer a state tax incentive to contribute to the 529 plan. Here in Indiana, we have, I'm not biased when I say this, the very best state tax incentive out there of any state, where you get a 20% tax credit. It's not a deduction, it's a tax credit. Deductions are good, credits are great, dollar for dollar back in your pocket. So a 20% state tax credit on the first $7,500 that you contribute to the Indiana 529 plan each and every year. So that's a $1,500 tax credit. Now, those of you out there that don't live in Indiana, you might say, well, I want to use the Indiana plan because I want that benefit. No, this is a credit against Indiana state taxes. So if you don't pay Indiana state taxes, then it would make no sense for you to contribute to that one. So for the state that you live in, you got to check out those tax benefits. So grandparents, you should consider helping or funding a 529 plan for your grandkids. And the very first reason is to obtain those tax benefits, So just meeting with someone recently where they've been helping their grandkids with college. They had two older grandkids that actually just graduated college, and they were funding 529 plans along the way, getting the tax credit and helping them. And now they've got a younger grandchild as well. And so they're still funding that 529 plan, and primarily because it was their goal all along to help their grandkids with college, not pay for everything, but pay for a chunk of it, about half of it. And they need the tax credits. It's very beneficial in their situation because of the income that they have, and we're doing Roth conversions for them as well. So getting that tax credit means a lot. So that's the very first reason. If you would like to, even if it's not on your radar, but oh gosh, yeah, I'd like to help my grandkids with college, even if it's just, having some dollars there to buy books or buy that computer or whatever. And there's a tax credit, there's a tax benefit for you doing so and saving up while they're younger. Oh my goodness, that's the first reason to do it. Second reason to open up that 529 plan for your grandkids is to begin doing some wealth transferring. Now, some of you, this may not make sense, but it's just meeting with some folks where they've sacrificed and saved up enough financial resources that it's very clear to them and to me as their advisor they're not going to spend through all of their money. They've got about $2.5 million saved up, and they're living contently on their pensions and Social Security. They're not even drawing dollars out of their investments. And in addition, they've got a couple $100,000 that they've saved up and just in the bank and in CDs. So they've got plenty of cushion. They've got enough income for them, and they've got a nest egg of over $2 million that I just know they're not going to touch. They're in their late 60s, early 70s. And so for them, it's about, well, at some point, these dollars are going to transition to the next generation. So two things, should you begin that wealth transfer now, number one, and number two, if these dollars will eventually transfer to the next generation, what would you want them to be used for? Instead of, I've heard this, had this discussion plenty of times with clients as we talk about this. I'd actually like to see them, my kids or grandkids, get a benefit out of these dollars that we've worked hard to save up for them, as opposed to not being able to see them enjoy it and just sort of them receiving it after we pass away. And so beginning this wealth transfer by funding, whether it's $5,000 or $7,500 if you're in Indiana, or $10,000 if you're in Michigan, get a deduction up to that amount, beginning to transfer from your pockets into a 529 plan that you still control. You're still the owner of, but it's listed, the student listed is your grandchild. That can begin that wealth transfer process when at some point these dollars are going to transition to the next generation. And then coupled along with that, this same client, they're in a situation where they're starting, I told you late 60s, early 70s, he's starting to draw his required minimum distribution, and they don't need it. They don't need it. Basically, with their required minimum distribution, they've had dollars growing tax sheltered all these years, and the IRS is saying, you got to start pulling these dollars out. So they're losing that tax shelter ability for a couple of these dollars. Well, if they take those dollars and transition them into a 529 plan for their grandchild, now they're back inside of a tax shelter. So all that growth, dividends, and all that sort of stuff, since it's in the 529 plan, will grow tax deferred and tax sheltered just like it was in the IRA, and will then be able to be withdrawn tax-free if used for a qualifying educational expense. So this is a way for you as a grandparent to maximize and optimize tax shelters by transitioning some of your dollars into a 529 plan for your grandkids. And then the final reason to consider the 529 plan for your grandkids is this new rule that's not even available yet, and we're still waiting on the IRS to fully reveal all of the interpretation on it. But the concern has been, or a concern has been, well, as a grandparent, if I'm funding their 529 plan, if I'm funding college, and their parents, so your kids, are funding a 529 plan for those grandkids as well, then do you have too much money being saved up for college? And what if that grandchild doesn't go to that expensive of a school, or maybe they don't go to the college completely, or they get a scholarship? Have we overfunded the 529 plan? And that's been a concern, not a big one, but a concern. Guys, that concern is gone now. The new rules, Secure Act 2.0, that was passed at the end of last year, allows for dollars, excess dollars from a 529 plan to be transitioned into a Roth IRA for that student. Now, there are limitations. The 529 needs to be open for at least 15 years. The contribution, the transfers can't exceed the contribution amount to the Roth IRA on any given year, and there's a maximum of $35,000 that you can transition into someone's Roth IRA. But here it goes. It gives that grandparent the opportunity to say, all right, so from the dollars that we've sacrificed and saved up for you to be inherited by you, we're going to, in a tax sheltered and tax advantaged way, transition some dollars into a 529 plan for you for your college education, or for your high school education even. And listen, if you don't use it, it will pre-fund your retirement for you, and those dollars could stay. Think about this. If you're a grandparent and you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, and you are transitioning dollars into a 529 plan for a grandchild that's just born, you could position those dollars out of your hands, but into an account that's now tax sheltered for that entire child's life. That 529 plan transitioned into the Roth IRA for the next 100 years. All of that growth, tax sheltered. So huge opportunity for those of you, if you've got grandkids and you've been you've been wanting to help them with college and you just haven't known why, well, this is an obvious choice. And if this hasn't been on your radar, but it makes sense because of the tax benefits, because of the wealth transfer, because of the future potential to pre-fund retirement, work with your certified financial planner. See if this makes sense for you. Determine which plan is best for you to maximize the tax credits and how much you should be transferring. So work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@Korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.